Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to show you how to paint a brand new fender. This is the aftermarket fender I purchased for a Nissan Maxima, and it came already pre-primed, which is a great thing because I don't have to prime it before I paint it. Now you can, and some people like to, but it's not entirely necessary, and for my purposes I'm not going to. But what I am going to do is I'm going to sand the entire fender with this 320 grit sandpaper. So I put it on my orbital DA, and I'm just going to sand the entire fender, get every area that I possibly can on the outside skin. Now I won't be able to get into some of the hard to reach areas with this DA, but those I will hand sand. We're also going to do along the inside of the fender edge where it meets up with the hood. Okay, so now that I've got this all sanded with the DA, I'm going to go over it with this 1500 grit scuff pad, and I'm just going to go over any areas that I might have missed or any areas that have a little bit of a shine to them. You want to sand it so it has a dull finish to it. That way you know it's been sanded properly and it's going to adhere the paint and the clear. And we are going to use Bulldog on this, which is a adhesion promoter, so the paint will stick properly. The next step we're going to take is we're going to use wax and grease remover to clean this entire fender, so it will remove any dust or contaminants that are left on this fender before we spray the Bulldog and then the paint. So this is pretty simple. You just wipe it on and then wipe it off so you remove any of the contaminants or any residue that's left on the fender. We're also going to use a tack rag just before we spray the Bulldog on this fender so it doesn't trap any dust or particles on the fender. Now we'll use this tack rag to wipe down the fender, remove any dust. And a tack rag is just a sticky tack cloth that pulls any of the contaminants or dust off the fender. Now we're going to add some Bulldog adhesion promoter. It's an automotive adhesion promoter that's going to just give you some added insurance. So I'm going to tack it down here just before I spray this Bulldog on the panel. So as far as how you want to set up your gun, you want to have the spray pattern wide open. That's that top knob. And then the knob below it there is going to be your volume. That's the material that's coming out of your gun. So I would suggest you turn it all the way in and then turn it 1 to 2 turns out. I usually go 1.5, and if it needs a little bit more, then I'll just open it up a little bit. And then as far as the pressure, the air pressure, you want to have it at around 20 psi, 20 to 25 psi. So I'm going to go ahead and spray a nice medium coat on this entire fender, making sure I get all the edges, the edge along the door where the fender goes along the door and along the hood and the inside lip of that wheel opening. Make sure we get that covered real well. So we're going to do one coat on it, medium coat, and we're going to let it flash for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to spray another coat on, and that will give us some good added protection for this paint to stick. Okay, I've allowed that Bulldog to flash off properly and dry, and I'm gonna go ahead and tack cloth this entire fender down just before I spray my color. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and lay my first coat of color down, and we're going to stay about 4 inches away, 4 to 5 inches away from the panel when we spray. We're going to overlap 60% when we do our passes. And right here I'm cutting in all the edges. I usually do that first. I'll go around all the edges and cut them in, and then try and get good coverage on it. You want a medium coat. You don't want to put it on too wet because you could run it or it could have a reaction to anything that's maybe left on the panel. Okay, so here's a good look at the first coat. It has a nice sheen to it. There is a little particle of dust there I saw, but what we're going to do is go ahead and tack cloth it off. Make sure we don't have any dust particles that are in the paint or that have landed on it. So it's real important to keep this fender clean in between coats. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to apply my next coat on, my second coat, and this should be a good coat for coverage. You may need a third coat, just depending on the color and what you're painting over. So just take a good look around after your second coat and see if you see any areas where you can see through the paint. If you can see through the paint, then you need to add a third coat. But this should be very good coverage after this second coat. And you can hit it a little bit harder on the second coat once it has that base of the first coat on it. Okay, so I have all my base white on, and this particular color is a tri-stage finish, meaning it has the color on, and then it has a pearl coat over top of it, a mid coat, and then it has a clear coat over top of it. So right here I'm going to add the mid coat, which is pearl white. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to go ahead and clear it. Now yours may not be a tri-coat, but this is just an added step that I needed to do in this process. Okay, so now that the base has been sprayed and the mid-coat pearl has been sprayed, we're going to go ahead and get ready to clear. Of course, I tack this off before I spray clear, and then it's very important to have your gun set up properly. You want to be consistent with your passes as far as the distance you're away from the panel. You want to make sure your volume control set up right and your air pressure. So this is not super difficult to do. If you just follow these steps, you can do this at home very easily. And even if it doesn't come out quite perfect, you can wet sand and polish this fender and make it look like showroom finish. So if it doesn't come out perfect and it has some orange peel or it has some dust or dirt in it, don't freak out. You can wet sand and buff that out and make it look like glass. At the top of the screen, you'll see a video that'll show you exactly how to wet sand and buff dust and dirt. Do me a favor, guys, hit that subscribe button. It's free for you to do, and it really helps out the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you watching. So let's take a look while I lay on this last coat, and we'll take a look at the finished product and see what we've achieved.